Hi, I'm Miss Dara from the Rogers Public Library, and today we're going to make some string slime. So I got a kit from Steve Spangler's Science, and this is his string slime, though I will tell you how to make similar things without a kit. So let's just get started. So the first thing you do is, in this kit it comes with a package of activator, and you just need to mix a teaspoon with 8 ounces of water. I did 2 teaspoons with 16 ounces of water because I wanted a lot of it. And you want to use warm water so that it will dissolve quicker. So once you have that all mixed up and it's all dissolved, you're going to just pick out a color, and we're going to start with green, and you just squeeze this in here. And it turns into strings. And the longer you leave it in, the harder they get. So right now they're really, really soft. So we're gonna leave those in there, and we're gonna do a couple more colors. So let's do some pink and some orange. And let's just try them all. Some yellow. They kind of squeak. And a little bit of blue. Now I'm going to wait on the white. Okay, so we're going to let that set for just a minute, and I'll explain what this actually is. So the liquid here is made with sodium alginate, which is made from brown seaweed, and it reacts with the calcium that is in this activator. So those two react together and create the strings. So when you pull this out, you have this mass of strings. Now these strings, if you pull one apart, I'm going to get one. We started with green, so I'm going to get a green one here because it stayed in the longest. Okay, so if you pull it apart, on the inside, it's still liquid. If you see this here, still liquid, and you can just dip that back in there. Let's dip the other end too, and it now is hard again. So it's liquid inside, and you can kind of squeeze it and squeeze it to different parts of your string because it's just the outside is. So there's air bubbles in there. I don't know if you can see those, but there's air bubbles, and you can see them move within the string. So that's those. So it's a chemical reaction that takes place between the two, the calcium and the sodium alginate, to create these long strings of polymers. So polymers is what we use to do regular slime too. The polymers stretch in the slime, and they're created by the glue and the activator, whether you use liquid starch or borax or contact solution. Those two react, and you create your polymers that are nice and stretchy. Okay, so there's another way that you can use this. You can create what they call worm eggs. So the way that we do this is you just drip. You don't want to make it continuous. You want to make dots. We're going to make some yellow worm eggs too. And it's kind of hard sometimes to get it to do just a dot. But when you do it right, you come up with these little beads. They're kind of hard to dip out, but there we go. And a few of mine have tails, kind of like tadpoles do, but there's these little beads, and you can see in there too. There's a bunch of little bitty beads. And they call those worm eggs. And those are liquid filled too, so they do pop if you're not careful. Okay, so I wanted to try the clear because let me see if I can get most of these out of here. I'm not going to quite get all of them, but we'll get most of them out. You can use these strings once you make strings. You can put them on paper and they will eventually dry out, but you can make shapes with them or create some abstract art or even create like something with your name. And that would be really cool looking. So you would probably have to glue them down to the paper to get them to stay, but you could create some kind of project with it and they would look really cool. All right, so I've got a few little green ones here left. I was trying to get this bigger one out, but they don't want to cooperate. So we're gonna go ahead and just use it with a couple little green ones in there. So this one is clear, so we're just gonna squirt some in there. And so you can't even see it in the water. Like, you know it's in there because I squirted it in there, but you can't see it. But when you pull it up, you have all these strings of clear slime. And this is a little bit stretchy too. You can stretch it and pull it, and it's not sticky in the least little bit. Unless you popped it, then it might be a little bit sticky. So that's cool too. I'm just gonna leave it in there and let it get a little bit harder. Okay, so one way that you can do this at home, you can make it, they call them actually edible water bottles. It's a way that you can be eco-friendly and don't use water bottles. So you can mix calcium lactate, which you can order online. Sometimes you can find it in stores, but usually you have to get it online. So calcium lactate, you need water, and you need the sodium alginate, which you can also find online. And then you need some kind of ice cube molds. The round ones are really cool to use because then you get round water bottles. And so you just mix together your calcium lactate with your water until it's dissolved, just like we did with this. And then you pour it into your ice cube molds and freeze it, just like you would make ice. Then in another bowl, you would mix your sodium alginate and mix with a blender until it's completely dissolved. Then you let that sit at least 15 minutes so that your air bubbles come to the top and you get all the air bubbles. And then you remove your ice balls and dip them one at a time into the sodium alginate. And you make sure that it's completely coated in that sodium alginate. And then with a slotted spoon, just lift that out of the water and let it sit in a bowl of warm water until the ice is completely dissolved. And then you just have the outside, like these, would be your sodium alginate, it's made from seaweed, so that's edible, and you'll have liquid water on the inside. So that's a fun thing to do. You should try it sometime. They're really cool to eat because you just put it in your mouth and they just pop, and it's just like a drink of water. So guys, I want you to remember that when you make this mixture is not edible. If you make the edible water bottles, that is edible. But since we don't know exactly what they put in this is not edible. All right, well, thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.